So what we got going on here is, this is our replacement black walnut stock for that Remington 581. And of course it's all been inletted. You've seen that in one of the other videos. So now what I've done is I put a base coat on it of True Oil. I'll just show you, everything in that kit was Beechwood Casey True Oil. Put a base coat on of that, let it soak in for a week. Then what I did was, and it says it in the instructions and online on all your YouTube sites, etc. The next coat is a slurry. So you're going to mix it with mineral spirits. And I mixed it 50-50, way easier to work with. And you rub it in and you sand it, wet sand it with between 280 and 320 grit sandpaper. And that fills in all the pores. And I don't know if you can see it on there. Now this is after I've just finished sanding it. I'll explain that in a second. But all the pores are filled in. Like, this thing is literally glass smooth, right? So now what I've done is I put the base coat on, the slurry coat on, one coat on. I'm always putting it on with my fingers, the True Oil. And now I've taken it down, the sheen off of it, and knocked down any imperfections, maybe a little drip or something of True Oil, with 4/0 steel wool. So now what I'm going to show you is what it's going to look like when I put the next coat of True Oil on. So I'm going to put one more coat of True Oil on, and I'm letting it dry for a week. Probably a couple of days is going to be good, because the mineral spirits, they do take an extra day to actually evaporate out of your oil. So, but I'm just going to leave it for a week. So next weekend we'll show you the last coat. And hopefully it turns out really glossy. Typically this is going to turn out real glossy, and that's the effect I'm going for. So I'll show you how I do this here just in a second. Okay, so we got our mixture of True Oil and mineral spirits here. Mixed 50-50. And you don't have to put too much on. And I think that's, a problem a lot of people have. Because you want to put somewhere between 5 and 8 coats on. But the nice thing about using it with mineral spirits is it's so much easier to leave that wet edge, when you have to continue on, right? You can see what's happening. It's kind of like anything else. It's the sum of the parts that make the whole, right? Like the barreled action turned out so darn nice. It's really nice, shiny black. It's kind of like painting a room until you get the baseboards and casings and the door hang. Yeah, it doesn't look bad, but when you get it all put together, it just looks spectacular. And you did it yourself. There you go. I just love that knot right there. So we're going to let that dry for a week. And this thing is just looking so wicked. Okay, well, we'll show you the last coat next week. We've had our stock hanging for a week now. So what I'm going to do is I've got some 4/0 steel wool here, and I'm going to knock it down real light. I'm sincerely hoping that this is the last coat of True Oil that I'm going to put on this stock. The whole stock is glass smooth. The pores filled in just beautifully. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just one piece of wood, you know, with beautiful grain in it. I love that knot. Kind of neat. Going to be a nice gun when it gets done. Should be good. Okay, we'll hang it up and we'll put our last coat of True Oil on this thing. Okay, so we got our stock hanging here. I got a tack cloth, and we're going to take off all the impurities. Stuff works really good. It's just like a magnet, you know. It picks up everything, leaves nothing behind. I rubber down once here, and then I cut them in half. I'll use the other half just to make sure we got everything. Okay, so that's the first go. A month from now, so this is March 5th today. Last year, April 6th, I was out at the gun range for the first time with that 1022 after I put it all together. So I hope this year is the same because I'm tired of winter. I like to be out at the gun range. Hopefully this thing shoots good. Getting ready for gopher season. Okay, so we're going to let that air dry for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're going to put our True Oil on it. Sure looks good. Okay, well here we are, and our stock's ready for its last coat of True Oil. This time, what I've done is I've mixed the True Oil, 75% True Oil, 25% mineral spirits. So all the other coats, including that slurry, I mixed them 50-50. And this time we're going to put just a little more True Oil in versus our mineral spirits. I got a perfect glare from that light bulb, so I know what's happening. It was a really easy product to work with. I never did stain this. This is a black walnut stock from South Carolina. I never stained it. The gentleman that I bought the stock off of, I asked him, I said, "You made that stock, so you must know how to finish it." He said, "Ken, just use True Oil." I said, "Well, you made it, so you must know." Awesome. Can't wait to show you the finished product. Hi. Well, it's been a painful wait, but I've waited the 2 weeks for my stock to dry, and I gotta tell you, that's exactly the way I wanted it to look. So I hope you can see that. That's the finish I wanted. It's a beautiful black walnut stock, and I think this gun is going to turn out. Assemble this thing now, and we'll just see how it all goes together. The first thing is this butt plate that really doesn't belong to this gun. I didn't want to bring the dimensions down as much as what the old stock was. To me, the old stock almost felt like it belonged in a kid's arms instead of an adult's arms. So I left the dimensions. I got this butt plate off of a buddy of mine and reworked it. And it looks pretty good on this gun. So I'll just put the butt plate on here first. Okay, so there's the first step, and it's the sum of the parts, right? So right now, all of a sudden, that gives this gun the start of character. That just turned out so darn nice. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put in the sling swivel studs. Okay, so again, that's starting to add a little more character. Now we've got sling swivel studs on our gun. Okay, so what we'll do now is we're going to put the barrel action into our stock. And it fits just deadly solid like that. Put our action screw in. Trigger housings on here. Now remember, on that video that I did regarding the bedding, I bed this rifle at 25 inch-pounds. So we're going to do that again. We may not leave it there, but since I've had it at 25 inch-pounds already, that's where I'm going to put it for now. Once we start shooting it, if it does shoot, you know, pretty darn good. So that's 25 inch-pounds, right? So if it really does shoot as good as I hope it does, or close, then maybe I'll play with the torque setting on that screw a bit. There we go. Now that is starting to take on, in essence, all of its own, eh? That's something. We're going to get it all cleaned up. I still have to put this back sight on. I don't know that everything works, eh? Oh my goodness. I'll show you how everything looks in a minute. We're going to put that back sight on. God, that fits good. So we're going to put the back sight on right now, just to show you what it would have looked like, I guess, without the stock, although I think some of these models actually did have walnut stocks on them. But we're going to put this back sight on it. It just adds so much character to this gun. lot of torque on there. That's plastic. We're going to wipe her down, and I will show you what it looks like when it's finished. And holy smokes, eh? Isn't that beautiful? Okay, well, I've cleaned her up and shined her up a little bit. And that's what my 581 looks like. That's with that rear sight on. And I gotta tell you, this thing turned out like perfect. It is a beautiful gun. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that back sight off. If it does shoot good, I'm going to find maybe a longer bodied scope and see if I can't work around keeping the scope low enough and yet getting over top of that back sight that I can actually leave it on there, because it is character to say the least. So right now I've got a Vortex rimfire scope here that I know works really, really well, so I'm going to start putting it on. Okay, so I've taken the rear sight off of my rifle here, and I'm going to mount this Vortex 2-7x33. I've got a couple of these scopes, and it's a rimfire scope, really darn clear, like they work good. To do this, I've got a set of Burris rimfire airgun rifle rings. This isn't drilled in top, it still uses the old 3/8 dovetail base. So what we're going to do is, this is where I want my rings to be. They're spaced nice right there in regards to where my scope ends up. So I'm using a big blade, gunsmith blade. That's 28 inch-pounds, so that's where we're going to put these. There's no recoil, I just want them to bite nice and snug, right? So 28 inch-pounds on both those screws. You can't even spin that in the rings, right? I'm just going to quickly take a little look and make sure the eye relief is okay, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so this is the proper eye relief for myself. I also work the action to make sure that the bolt moves good so that we don't have to worry about the height of the rings. So these rings fit perfectly. Typically you want to get that scope as close to the action as you can, right? I think this turns out nice. Realistically, I guess if I really wanted this to be the old nostalgic Remington 581, a guy should probably go find an old Weaver scope someplace, or spend a couple of bucks and put a loophole rimfire on it. This is a classy looking little scope as far as I'm concerned, and they're really clear, like they really darn bright for I don't know, I think I paid about $160, $170 for it. But to me, it almost looks like it fits this gun. Like it deserves to be on this gun. Okay, well, we've got our scope mounted, bore sighted, and we're just ready for the range now. I think it just absolutely turned out fantastic. The fit and finish is literally perfect, and the stock on this thing, I just couldn't be happier with the way this thing turned out. So thanks a lot for watching, and boy, I'm glad the sum of the parts made a great big beautiful hole here, because this is a beautiful 22. I guess the next time you'll see me, we'll be out at the gun range, and either way I'm going to videotape it and show you. I hope it shoots as good as I think it's going to, but we'll wait and see, eh? So we'll see you out at the range.